I thought I would make a video of test 1. I'm just going to go through one of the versions of test 1 or on this video, and if you want to use it for preparation, it's up to you. But thanks a lot to our invigilators. They do a fantastic job. So let's look at this test 1 version 2 of study units 1 and 2. Covers the content of learning unit 1 and 2. So the first question, it said a salesman sold 20 fans in 1 month. He received 30,000 as his total commission. How much commission did he earn? That says per fan. This is quite an easy one. He earned 30,000 and there were 20 fans, and the question says how much commission did he earn per fan? So we say 30,000, the total commission divided by the number of fans, 20, is equal to 1,500. So the answer there would be C. Question number 2. Store workers receive a basic wage of 300 Rand per day, a basic wage of 300 Rand per day, plus 10 Rand extra for every box packaged into storage. If a person works for 20 days and packs 25 boxes over those 25 days, this should say each day of the 20 days, what will his gross wage be? So it's 300 Rand per day. This worker packs 25 boxes per day and gets the extra 10 Rand per box. So in 1 day, this worker earns 300 Rand plus 25 multiplied by 10, and the worker works for 20 days. So if we expand these brackets, we get 300 Rand per day plus the 25 boxes at 10 Rand per box multiplied by 20 days multiplied, well, the amount per day multiplied by 20 days is equal to 11,000. So the answer is A. Number 3. Share 8,500 between 3 people in the ratio 6:3:5. 6 is A, 3 is B, 5 is C. How much will each person receive? Now this is the ratio 6:3:5. So what we do when we're given a question like this, we add up the numbers. 6 plus 3 plus 5 is equal to 14. So A will get 6 out of 14. B will get 3 out of 14. C will get 5 out of 14. So if we take the amount of 8,500 and we want to calculate what A gets, we get A's fraction, which is 6/14, multiplied by 8,500. B is 3/14, multiplied by 8,500. And C is 5/14, multiplied by 8,500. You can get out your calculator and you can punch in the numbers and see if you get the answer. Be very careful, because answer C and answer B both say that A get 3,642.86. So what you need to do is you can't just calculate A and assume that C is correct. You need to do B and C as well. So if you go and calculate 6/14 times by 8,500, 3/14 times by 8,500, and C 5/14 times by 8,500, and you round off to 2 decimal places, the answer will be, if I rub that out, the answer will be B. You can go and do the maths and you will see. Right, let's move on. Number 4. Share 30,000 between 3 people in the ratio 2:3, 3:4, and 2:6. What is the lowest common denominator from these ratios? So we want to find out what can 3, 4, and 6, which are the denominators, be divided into the lowest number. And the technique to use is you can multiply these denominators, and we say 3 multiplied by 4 is equal to 12. And then we test if 3, 4, and 6 can divide into 12. And 3 goes into 12 4 times, 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 6 goes into 12 twice. So all those denominators can divide into 12, and therefore the lowest common denominator is 12. If the numbers couldn't divide into 12, you could say 3 times by 4 is 12, times by 6 is 72, and try 72. But the question says you want the lowest common denominator. So you take the first two, the smallest ones, say 3 times by 4, and check if they can divide into 12. So there the answer is C. Number 5. From the scenario in the previous question, how much will person C receive? So their ratio, the sharing ratio, was 2/3 to 3/4 to 2/6. What we went and did was found the lowest common denominator of 12 in the previous question. So we will see this first person is A, the second person is B, and the third person is C. So how much will person C receive? So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the lowest common denominator, which we did was 12. So 2/3, if I said 3 times by 4, is equal to 12. What I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. So if I said 3 times by 4 is 12, I say 2 times by 4 is equal to 8, because what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. To get to 12 from 4 with this 3/4, 4 times by 3 is equal to 12. So 3 times by 3 is equal to 9. 2/6. 6 times by 2 is equal to 12. So what I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So 2 times by 2 is equal to 4. Now I've just changed these fractions to a lowest common denominator, but they are still in ratio or proportion to each other. So what we do now is, with this type of sum, we take the numerators with the new lowest common denominator, and we put them into a ratio. 8 is to 9 is to 4. Then what we do is we add up the numbers, and it equals 21. So what does person C receive? C was the third one. C receives 4/21 times by 30,000 is equal to 5714 and 29. Be careful, that number there looks the same, but it's 514729, and the answer is 5714.29. It is none of the above, because 5714.29 is not an option. So D is none of the above. Right, number 6, quite easy. Solve for x, expand the brackets. So we got 6x plus 2 is equal to 2, multiplied by, that's an x plus 4 minus 40. So 6 times by x is 6x. 6 times by 2 is 12. 2 times by x is 2x. 2 times by 4 is equal to 8, and we still got minus 40. Now what we do is we get the x's on one side and the constants on the other side. So we took that 2x across and it became minus 2x. When a term goes across, or a constant goes across the equal sign, the sign changes. So that 2x once again becomes minus 2x is equal to 8 minus 40, and when the 12 goes across, it becomes minus 12. Then if we simplify, 6x minus 2x is equal to 4x. 8 minus 40 minus 12 is equal to minus 44. Then I divide both sides by 4, and we get x is equal to minus 11, because a negative divided by a positive is equal to a negative. X is equal to minus 11, and the answer is B. Number 7, it takes a manufacturer 6 hours to make 15 items. How long will it take the manufacturer to make 50 items? Right, 6 hours to make 15 items. How many hours will it take to make 50 items? So we need to solve for x. And there's a method. If I cross multiply, 15 times by x is equal to 15x. And the math rule says it will equal the opposite cross multiplying. 6 times by 50 is equal to 300. So I said 15 times by x is equal to 6 times by 50. 15x is equal to 300. You divide both sides by 15, and we get x is equal to 20. So it will take 20 hours to make 50 items. And the answer is D. Right, I like the tax section. Section B, value-added tax. A student bought a desktop computer from Incredible Connection for $18,000, including VAT. When you get the amounts, you must always check, does it include VAT, exclude VAT, or is it the VAT amount? Now they say, what was the price of the computer excluding VAT? Now what I can do here is, we're given the VAT inclusive price. There are different methods as long as you get to the correct answer. When I took the amount that was excluding VAT, let's say we haven't been given it, we've got to work to it. But when you are given an exclusive amount and you want to get inclusive, you multiply by 1,15. Now what they're giving you here is the inclusive amount. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. This is a division sign. So if I want to work back to the exclusive amount, I can say 18,000 divided by 1,15 is equal to 15,652.17 cents. Or I can go the long route, and I can take the inclusive amount multiplied by the VAT fraction in order to get the VAT amount. Then I say 18,000 minus the VAT amount is equal to, what is it going to be? 15,652.17 cents. These VAT sums take a bit of practice. You either give an inclusive or exclusive or just the VAT amount. But as you practice, this will become very easy. So the answer here is B, 15,652 and 17 cents. In this example, we were given the inclusive amount and we need to calculate the exclusive amount. Next one. The price of a mountain bike is 4,500 Rand, excluding VAT. How much VAT will be charged when a VAT vendor sells 10 of these bikes? So let's have a look. We've got 4,050 Rand excluding VAT. So to get the VAT amount, when it is excluding, we multiply by 15%. Excluding, that becomes 607.50 VAT per bike. The price of a mountain bike is 4,050 Rand excluding VAT. How much VAT will be charged when a VAT vendor sells 10 of these? So 607.50 is the VAT, the output VAT for one bicycle. When they sell 10, you just multiply by 10. And the amount is 6,075 output VAT will be charged for 10 bicycles sold. And the answer is C. This here was excluding VAT. Then we multiply by 15%. If a VAT amount of 350, that is the VAT amount, was charged on a pair of sneakers, tackies, what is the price of the sneakers including VAT? So we got the price of the sneaker, trying to draw a shoe, but I don't think that's really going to happen. But that's a tacky, they're the shoelaces. You got a price of a sneaker, and when you add that price of the sneaker, you're going to add 350 VAT. The question is, what is that amount of the sneaker excluding VAT? What is the price of the sneaker? They're saying including VAT. If a VAT amount of 350 Rand was charged on a pair of sneakers, the VAT amount, output VAT 350, what is the price of the sneakers including the VAT? So we want to know the tacky plus the VAT, what is the selling price including VAT? Now this year, the sneaker price excluding VAT, you let equal 100%. The VAT amount, we know VAT is 15%. So what is the selling price if we were looking at percentages? 115%. Now we can use a fraction in order to calculate the VAT amount plus, or the selling price including VAT. We take the VAT amount. We want to get to the 115%, and the 350 represents 15% of the price. We want to get to 115%, and we're given 15%, which is 350. So my point is here, you can say the VAT amount, 350, we're working towards the VAT inclusive amount. So we take the VAT amount and we multiply by 115 over 15. If you don't understand this, you can learn it. We're given the VAT amount and we want to get to the full VAT inclusive amount. We multiply by 115 over 15. So the price of the tackies was 2683.33, and that includes VAT. So the answer is A. Remember, you can always stop a video and go back and watch. And sometimes you have to watch it 3 or 4 times to grasp it. The next one. The price of a smart TV is $26,999, including VAT. How much VAT is included in the price? Right, this is an easy one. This is the VAT inclusive amount. VAT inclusive. If I want to get the VAT amount, when I'm given the VAT inclusive amount, I multiply by 15 over 115, which is the VAT fraction. And the amount that we get for the VAT is 3521.61. So I'm going to give you that explanation again quickly. In this example, you're given the VAT inclusive amount. You want the VAT amount, so we multiply by what I call the VAT fraction, 15%, which is the VAT amount, divided by 115, which represents the 26,999, because it's 100% plus 15%. But if you didn't get that, that's okay. You just know VAT inclusive amount multiplied by 15 over 115 will give you the VAT amount, 3521.61. And you will see it's not there, it's not there, it's not there. It's D, none of the above. Next one. At her baby shower, a woman received baby clothes and gifts worth $17,000, excluding VAT. What was the price of the items including VAT? Now, I do a little shortcut. Your method is up to you. 17,000 excludes VAT. If I want to include VAT, I can multiply by 1 plus 15%. And 15% is 0.15. If I say 15 divided by 100, it's 0.15. So 1 plus 0.15 is equal to 1.15. So that's where I got that 1.15 from. So it's 17,000 excluding VAT. Multiplied by 1.15 is 19,550. Or I can say 17,000 times by 15% will give you the VAT amount, and then you add it to the 17,000. The method is up to you, but you need to check your method and make sure that you get B, 19,550. You're given the excluding VAT amount. What is the price including VAT? The quickest way is to multiply by 1.15, the exclusive amount. Number 13. Mia's art store purchased items for resale. Right, purchased items for resale. Inventory. You buy stock in order to sell it. It amounts to 65,000 from a non-VAT vendor. Mia's art store bought stock for 65,000 from someone who wasn't a registered VAT vendor. What they're saying is you can't claim input VAT. Mia's art store cannot claim input VAT from this purchase because Mia purchased from a non-VAT vendor. The business sold the items to customers for a total amount of 80,000, excluding VAT, right? Excluding VAT. Bought the goods for 65,000, sold them for 80,000, excluding VAT. Mia's art store is registered VAT vendor. So Mia registered VAT vendor can or must legally charge VAT. The owner has approached you to assist her in calculating how much she must pay to SARS. What a vendor pays to SARS is output VAT minus input VAT. Now we have established that Mia cannot claim input VAT because she bought from a non-VAT vendor. But she's VAT registered. She has to charge VAT according to tax laws. She sells to her customers in total 80,000, but this excludes VAT. To get the VAT amount, must multiply by 15% because VAT is 15%. That is output VAT, which is 12,000. So the output VAT is 12,000. The input VAT was 0 because Mia could not claim input VAT as she purchased stock from a non-VAT vendor. So the output VAT is 12,000, input VAT is 0. 12,000 minus 0 is equal to 12,000. That's what needs to be paid to SARS. The answer is C. Right, next one. A manufacturer bought wood from a non-VAT vendor once again for 10,000 Rand. He used the wood to make an antique chair and sold it to the wholesaler for 16,000. Manufacturer bought from a non-VAT vendor for 10,000, sold it to the wholesaler for 16,000. Right, that includes VAT. You'll see in a moment. The retailer bought the chair from the wholesaler for 20,000. So the wholesaler sells to the retailer for 20,000, who then sold the chair to the customer. The retailer sold the chair to the customer for 25,000. How much VAT does the retailer need to pay over to SARS? Assume that amounts include VAT and that the manufacturer, retailer and wholesaler are all VAT vendors. The question says there's a whole lot of writing here, but basically, how much VAT does the retailer need to pay to SARS? So we're looking at the retailer. Now it's actually quite easy if you understand the story. The retailer bought from the wholesaler 20,000 and sold to the customers 25,000. All these people that I've listed on this line or workings, MWRC, are VAT vendors. When the manufacturer purchased from a non-VAT vendor, that's out of the equation. All we're considering here is what is the retailer going to pay to SARS. Now the retailer, the cost price of the stock that was sold is 20,000. They said all these amounts here include VAT. So we must calculate input VAT. So we say 20,000 times by 15 over 115 is 2608 and 70 cents. Then they charge the customer output VAT. Included in the 25,000 Rand sales is output VAT. So we say 25,000 times by 15 over 115 is equal to 3260. Now what gets paid to SARS is the difference between output VAT and input VAT. And up here I've got the output VAT 3260.87 minus the input VAT is equal to 652 and 17. That get paid to SARS. Right, this is a long one, but you need to know output VAT minus input VAT gets paid to SARS. Output VAT is the VAT charged to customers. Input VAT is the VAT claimed from buying the stock from a VAT vendor. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You might have to watch it a couple of times. So the answer there is B, $652.17. Right, section C, profit loss markup. A man bought a family car at Toyota. The original cost of the car was $350,000, but he bought it at a discounted price of $325,000. What is the percentage decrease in the value of the car? Right, so how much discount did this person get? It was originally $350,000, now got some discount, $325,000. The discount in rands was $25,000. To work that out as a percentage, what was the percentage that this person got, or the decrease in the value of the car purchase price? It was the $25,000. That's the rand discount, less the original cost price, and this should actually say multiplied by 100. And if we do that, you'll see the percentage decrease in price was 7.14%. And there's the answer, A. Next one. A fridge costs $12,000 and is sold for a profit of 30%. What is the selling price of the fridge? The cost price was $12,000. Going to add 30%. If I say 12,000 times by 1, it's 12,000. But I want to add 30%. So I say 1 plus 30%. And 30% as a decimal is 0.3. 1 plus 0.3 is 1,3. 12,000 plus the 30%. 12,000 times by 1,3 is equal to 15,600. That is the price, including the 30% profit, the markup, the gross profit. It's not listed in the options, so the answer is none of the above. Right, the cost of a cell phone cover is 500 Rand. It is sold at a profit of 75. What is the gross profit percentage? Very easy. You take the gross profit, the markup, the profit, they say here, of 75, and you divide by the cost price. Markup divided by cost price multiplied by 100 is 15%. So the markup on the cost price is 15%. What is the gross profit percentage? That is markup on cost price multiplied by 100. And the answer is C. Number 18. A shirt which costs 290 Rand is marked down by 15%. What is the new price of the shirt? Right, a shirt which costs 290 Rand, you could say that is the selling price of the shirt, goes on sale, and the sale is 15% off the marked price. The marked price was 290. So now we say 290 times by 15% is 43 Rand 50. The original price minus the 15%, the new cost of the shirt or the new selling price is B, 246 Rand and 50 cents. After an annual increase, nice, 18%, an employee's gross salary, gross before deductions, for the month is 20,355. What was the gross salary of the employee before the increase? Okay, when it was before, what happened was there was an increase. So it was by itself plus the 18%. Remember, 18% is a decimal. So it would be times by 1,18. The before, which we don't know, multiplied by 1.18 will give me the new. So if I want to work backwards, I take the new amount after the 18% and I divide by 1,18, and the answer is 17,250, which is A. And number 20, the last one. A manufacturer makes a paddle racket that costs 1,500 Rand. He sells 12 of them and receives 54,000 cash in total. What is his markup percentage per racket? Markup percentage is markup on cost price, but you want per racket for one. He sold 12 of these and he received 54,000. So what was the selling price of one? That's our starting point. 54,000 divided by 12 will give me 4,500, which is the selling price for one racket. But we want the markup because that's our formula there for the question that's asked. The markup is 4,500 minus the cost price per racket will give me the selling price minus the cost price will give me the markup per racket, which is now 3,000. And the formula is markup, which now we've calculated is 3,000, divided by the cost price, which is given to us in the little story, 1,500, multiplied by 100 is equal to 200%. So the markup on the cost price, the markup percentage, is markup divided by cost price, which is 3,000 divided by 1,500 to get a percentage multiplied by 100. And the answer is B, 200%. So the markup on the cost price is 200%. And that is a version of test 1 which covered learning unit 1 and 2. Good revision for you. I would try and practice as much as possible. So you get a thumbs up from the invigilator and you have a fantastic exam. Keep practicing. I will do a version of test 2 and load it as well. Cheers.